Experience a membership that backs what you're building with American Express Business Platinum. Unlock over $3,500 in business and travel value annually with statement credits on select purchases from brands like Dell, Hilton, and Adobe, and other benefits. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Based on total potential value of statement credits on select purchases and other benefits, enrollments required, monthly and other limits and terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
Kayak gets my flight, hotel, and rental car right, so I can tune out travel advice that's just plain wrong.
Bro, Skycoin. Way better than points.
Never fly during a Scorpio full moon.
Just tell the manager you'll sue. Instant room upgrade.
Stop taking bad travel advice. Start comparing hundreds of sites with Kayak and get your trip right.
Bad advice? You talking to me?
Kayak. Got that right.
You do it all. So why not get all the electrolytes? Hydrate better than water with new Gatorade Lower Sugar. Now with no artificial flavors, sweeteners, or colors, and 75% less sugar than regular Gatorade. New to the fridge, all the Gatorade electrolytes you love. Gatorade Lower Sugar. Is it in you? Now available nationwide.
Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of Spin Shuffle Skip on the There Can Only Be One podcast channel. Every now and then, we get to talk about a soundtrack. And inevitably, the discussion falls under, is this on the Mount Rushmore of soundtracks? And every time we bring up that conversation, one album seems to come up all the time. The Singles soundtrack. So it's time to knock this one off the bucket list. And here to join me, Lyle Robichaux's back on the show. Lyle, how you doing, man?
I am doing just great, Jason. I can't wait to dissect some more soundtracks. There's an art form to this, and I feel like we are dissecting it every time we jump on.
The thing is, though, if you're calling soundtracks an art form, this has to be like the freaking Mona Lisa of 90s soundtracks.
It is up there, because this is another one where I come at it from a place where I've not seen the movie Singles, have not seen it, hadn't really heard of it until you had tossed me this ball to do for this episode. But all of the first three songs of the album, I was like, okay, this has some star power.
Yeah. I mean, there was no other movie in this era that really captured the grunge scene at the time. Singles, it's not just a movie, and it's not just a soundtrack. It really is a moment in music history, even though it is a fictional film. But I mean, obviously, I'm with you. I haven't watched the movie. Can't watch it for it's not that bad. 79%.
It's also just not really my type.
Yeah.
It's also not my type of a chick flick experiment. All the power to you if you love it, but
I
just
don't
not
know
my
if
thing.
I don't know if I'd call Singles a chick flick per se, but have you ever dove into this album before this?
Oh God, no. Absolutely not. I did not know this existed, but I certainly do now. And it's in some of these songs were already in my heavy rotation, which we'll get into soon. But now that I'm done this, every time you throw me one of these, it always ends up being amazing. And it just goes to show how times have changed, because there has been a movie in a very long time that's had a soundtrack good enough to really grasp my attention like something like this.
Yeah, we're going to have to, ask you what your Mount Rushmore of soundtracks is a little bit later. We'll put a pin in that one. We'll come back to that at the end of the show.
Yeah.
But let's get into the Singles soundtrack. Released June 30th, 1992, hit number 6 on the Billboard 200 and is double platinum in the States. In 2019, Rolling Stone ranked this as the 19th greatest grunge album of all time. And it's kind of hard to argue that one, given the litany of artists that is on this. This is basically a snapshot of Seattle at that time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like 1992 in a bottle.
Oh, absolutely. There are two singles off of this one. Wood by Alice in Chains hit number 31 on the mainstream rock charts, number 19 in the UK, and number 10 on the Australian alternative charts. And Nearly Lost You by the Screaming Trees hit number 5 on the alternative airplay charts, number 12 on the mainstream rock charts, and number 7 on the Australian alternative charts. Now, I wasn't aware that Nearly Lost You was a single. I did know that Wood was, because Wood actually had a music video that had a lot of imagery from the movie in it. And you know how I feel about that bass line.
Yes, and you know how I feel about Alice in Chains in general. We did a whole episode on Alice in Chains.
Oh, heck yeah.
My feelings here should not be surprised to anybody.
So you might be a little biased on this one.
More than a little biased. More than a little.
All right. Well, I'm going to hand it over to you. Let's get started. Your spin pick from the single soundtrack. How's that for alliteration?
Yeah, I was about to say, wow. And it's Wood. I think you knew as soon as you gave me this album that there was a really good chance that Wood was going to be my spin. It's Alice in Chains at the grungiest best. You can't go wrong. But I will say, one that came in as my almost was a band I'd never heard of and a song I'd never heard of, the Screaming Trees. Nearly lost. I had never heard of these guys. Didn't have a clue about it. Went down a whole rabbit hole on the band. Really liked this song, but obviously Wood has to take it for me.
I mean, it's kind of hard to argue that. And again, we talked about this during the Alice in Chains episode. It's like, it's a monster freaking song.
It really is. Especially like you said, this is 1992. So this is like peakity peak of when this is kind of the pulse of what people were listening to on the radio at the time. So I don't think there's any other answer here.
But there is.
What did you pick?
I ended up going with a song that when I finally get around to doing this episode, it's going to haunt me, because to my knowledge, this song is not on any of Pearl Jam's albums. I'm going with State of Love and Trust.
Really?
This is hands down my favorite Pearl Jam song of all time.
Wow, that is a hockey card fact for the back. That's wild. Really? Of all the Pearl Jam, this is the one.
I mean, listen to that breakdown though, that bridge. The bass in that is slaying this song. But I mean, like, if I'm making a top 5 of Pearl Jam, you're going to have songs like Rearview Mirror that are up there. You're going to have songs like Black that are up there. A lot of my stuff is going to lean more and probably into those earlier years, because there was a point where I kind of fell off with Pearl Jam. But when this song came out, I was surprised that it wasn't on any of those early albums. This is one of those rare moments where one of the best songs from an artist doesn't appear on their albums. The only other time I can think of this is The Cure, who had Burn on the Crow soundtrack, which blows my mind because that is my favorite Cure song of all time. It's
weird how it goes.
Yeah, I couldn't pick it.
It's weird how that happens.
But yeah, State of Love and Trust. If I ever get to hear one Pearl Jam song live, this is the one I want to hear.
Wow. See, I would think for most people it would be like Alive, I figure, right? That's the one everybody wants to hear. But you know what? Hey, to each their own. It is a good song for Pearl Jam standards. I did not know it was only appearing here. I didn't know this didn't appear anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's a fantastic freaking riff. It's a little bit more aggressive and upbeat than I expect from Pearl Jam.
Yeah, they're usually very don't want to use the word whiny. That's not the right word, but you know what I mean. It's usually a little bit more downtrodden.
A little bit more down tempo, yes.
Yeah.
But no, this is a banger. And if you're looking for a good upbeat Pearl Jam song, definitely Rearview Mirror is one you want to listen to. But yeah, State of Love and Trust, absolutely. For my shuffle pick, I'm gonna turn the tempo down a little bit here. I'm gonna go with the band who the passing of their lead singer was the inspiration for Temple of the Dog. I'm going with Chloe Dancer, Crown of Thorns by Mother Love Bone. What a freaking vibe this song is.
That is exactly what I have written next to it, is just vibe in capital letters. I actually were familiar with this band from before. I think they've been in a couple movies, have they not? There's been a couple soundtracks that have had Mother Love Bone, I think, because I feel like I've talked about them before in reference to a different movie episode.
Mm-hmm.
But this isn't on any of my lists, but it is very good.
Yeah. I mean, we covered Mother Love Bone's one and only album on a past episode of One and Done on There Can Only Be One. But it's just one of those things where this was one of those sad examples of what could have been for Mother Love Bone. That first album had so many fan-freaking-tastic songs. But Chloe Dancer, Crown of Thorns. I mean, yes, it is two different songs, so I'm kind of cheating, but I'm kind of not, because on this album they're listed as one. But I
If
mean,
they're listed as one, I think it counts. I don't think it's cheating.
oh, absolutely. Um, the haunting piano right off the start, right? And the reverb on the vocals. Like it's very, very cinematic in that I can only imagine what a video would have been like.
Yeah, 100%. And that kind of, ironically, even though I didn't pick the same song, that kind of leads into my shuffle pick because I picked it for the exact same reason. That it feels very cinematic, but at the same time, I haven't seen the video for it. It's Battle of Evermore by the Lovemongers.
Yes.
I don't know what this elvish nonsense is, but I love it. It reminds me of very like Lord of the Rings ish, almost like a very folky feel to it. And it's almost like a sonnet. It's got like a whole storyline going on. I think this is very fantastic for the exact same reason that you just mentioned. It's cinematic without me even having a visualization to go off of from the music video. Haven't seen the movie either, but for some reason, when I look at the movie's cover, this kind of matches what I would think it'd be going for, if that makes any sense.
I mean, you know that moment where, Ann Wilson and Nancy Wilson of Heart are performing at the Led Zeppelin Honors Tribute Concert, and Robert Plant is in tears. I mean, this is, because the Lovemongers is basically Heart covering Led Zeppelin. This is what you get.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But I also like the fact that, not aside from the fact that you cannot go wrong with anything Ann and Nancy Wilson, period. That's a solid answer. But I mean, one thing that this album does is that, yes, it focuses on the Seattle grunge scene, but it also includes other Seattle-based artists. Of course, the Lovemongers, Heart being one of the original Seattle bands. Like it's an all-encompassing Seattle experience.
It is. It's almost like a musical passport from that city.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because again, we all know in the 90s, there was that whole joke of, last band signed out of Seattle, be sure to turn the lights out, because everyone was going to Seattle to try to find the next big thing. Like, can you imagine going around the clubs before Seattle was Seattle and catching some of these bands before they even got heard?
Oh yeah, there's times in every city's kind of like musical tenure, even in Toronto, where me and you are both familiar with. If you go back and look at some of the names that have played in clubs and you check, between like 1999 and like 2003, or between like 1994 and 1999, you just see this run of like, oh my God, that's like the top 40 for a whole decade.
Oh God,
in a certain genre that played this same club like 4 or 5 weeks apart, because at the time they were all just starting out. So living in a city like Toronto around like this time, the early 90s, would have been truly just magical if you're into that kind of music.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you take a look at the Maritimes, right? The Halifax scene that was going on in the 90s.
Oh, yeah. You got your Sloan, and like there's a lot of legends that came around there too. Your April Wines, your Sloans, all that fun stuff. But in a bigger city, it would truly be something incredible, especially like Seattle. Around now, like there's a big difference between having 3 or 4 bands that you're aware of and all of the airplay coming from the same place.
Yeah.
Which, if you look at grunge and stuff like that, it's very much West rooted.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like every scene has its sound. You take a look at the Sunset Strip in the 80s, right? And all the glam metal that came out of that. Seattle, the birthplace of grunge, Halifax being like that very maritime sound. And you mentioned the artists like Sloan, maybe Ashton McIsaac. But I mean, you also had other groups like the Super Friends and Jail that were around in the 90s as well, and Sandbox and all these other fantastic artists.
Jail, oh my God, that goes way back. That's amazing.
I know I'm kind of showing my gray hairs here on that one, but bear with me on this one.
That's awesome. Shout out to the only band from where I'm from too, Noah's Ark. Everybody go look them up. I think they have they got to be on Spotify somewhere. They have to be.
All right, so now we've gone through the spin and shuffle pick, so it's time to go down Skip Road. What do you got?
I was trying to not show my hand a bit earlier because I know this opinion's probably not going to make me as popular with some of the listeners, but I can't stand Pearl Jam. I really can't. I just think the vocals aren't my thing. They're like, it sounds like if I want to listen to somebody wailing, I can listen to Florence and the Machine, and at least I get what's happening. but I am not the biggest Pearl Jam guy. I understand the importance. I think some of the riffs are really good. Alive is okay. But the State of Love and Trust is my skip simply because it's not my thing. Pearl Jam ain't my jam.
Wow. State of Love and Trust skipped over Breathe.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
I can't stand the vocal style. And again, totally get the importance. It's not my flavor. I just don't like it.
I get it. I mean, I know, because we did the episode, right? Alice in Chains is kind of your pinnacle of Seattle bands. And yes, there was a grunge sound, and Eddie Vedder, for better or for worse, was the sound vocally of that. But you take a look at some of the other bands that were coming out of there. You had Chris Cornell with Soundgarden, you had Lane Staley with Alice in Chains, you had Scott Weiland with the Stone Temple Pilots. You had these artists that it wasn't the growl, it wasn't the Pearl Jam, everything is a vowel kind of sound.
Yeah. So I almost feel like because Pearl Jam is very much the formula for a lot of these things. I almost like it when it's injected with something else, because I do like Alice in Chains because they are more melodic and do have kind of the more 80s sound vibed in there a bit. So I understand how you can go down the 7 degrees of separation and find why I don't like them as much.
All right, I know you're not going to like my skip pick though.
It's not Wood. So
no, it's not Wood. Hell no.
Oh, I would be very upset.
No, I would go skipping to Wood, but I would not skip Wood. No, it's one of those things where when I listen to an album, especially a soundtrack, it's got to feel like everything's on the same page. Everything has to feel like it's, that it belongs. And despite the fact that this artist actually was born in Seattle, May This Be Love by the Jimi Hendrix Experience is
almost the odd man out, isn't it?
Yeah. But I understand. I get it, right? Jimi Hendrix, born in Seattle. From a movie standpoint, I understand his inclusion. But to the same token as well, this is 1992. Why is Queensryche not in this?
Yeah, that's a good shot.
Like, there are more Seattle artists than just in the grunge vein. And I get having the Lovemongers in there because, of course, and Nancy Wilson, of course, they appeared on the SAP album for Alice in Chains. They are very tight with the grunge scene. Jimi Hendrix, I think it's more honoring what he brought to the scene as opposed to putting a song in there for the movie's sake. It's a good song. It just, to me, it doesn't fit the vibe of the rest of the album.
Yeah, and you kind of hit the nail right on the head. I never thought of that, but it's almost like and as a special, like it's like at the end of a movie when you see the credits and it's like very special thank you to this, because without this it wouldn't be possible. That's kind of what this track feels like.
Yeah,
it's like very special thanks to Jimi Hendrix for laying the groundwork for all of us, kind of thing.
Yeah, you put this song on a bunch of different other soundtracks and it would absolutely work. It's just not vibing with me on this one.
Makes sense. It does make sense. I love Jimi Hendrix, so I could never pick that as my skip, but understood why in this respect it could be, even though Eddie Vedder's on there.
All right, so please remind our listeners what your spin, shuffle, and skip picks are from the single soundtrack.
My spin is Wood by Alice in Chains. My shuffle is Battle of Evermore by the Lovemongers. And my skip is State of Love and Trust by Pearl Jam.
All right. Well, I'm going to flip the script on this one. My spin is State of Love and Trust by Pearl Jam. My shuffle is Chloe Dancer, Crown of Thorns by Mother Love Bone. And my skip, just because it doesn't feel like it fits on with the rest of the stuff on this album, May This Be Love by the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Lyle, thank you so much for this. Now, you've got a new podcast out there that you're working on. Let our listeners know what it is and where they can find it.
I do. I am part of the Sabotage Everything podcast for North Pro Wrestling back in my home province here of New Brunswick. You can check us out on YouTube at North Pro Canadian Wrestling. We're very easy to find. It's an amazing podcast. We talk wrestling and a lot of other stuff like pop culture, kind of like we do here.
All right, dude. Thank you so much for this. And to you, our dear listeners, well, you guys know the drill. If there is an artist that you want us to cover on There Can Only Be One, or an album that you want us to cover on Spin Shuffle Skip, hit us up on social media at Only One Cast or go to our website, notthatbadcast.com. And you want to make sure that you subscribe to the website because we got some special stuff cooking. So when we release it, I think you're going to be impressed. Until next time, he's Lyle. I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is Spin Shuffle Skip on the There Can Only Be One podcast channel and a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.
Start the spring season off right with a new pair of Tecovas Western boots. Handcrafted and over 200 steps from genuine leather, they're built to last and feel broken in the moment you put them on. From cowhide to exotic leathers, Tecovas blends timeless style with all-day comfort. Pair them with premium denim, Western shirts, and accessories for an effortless, polished look. Shop quality Western goods in-store or online at tecovas.com.
When Mother's Day means celebrating your mom, your wife, maybe even your daughter as a new mom, trust 1-800-Flowers to help you celebrate every important woman in your life. With double blooms from 1-800-Flowers, order 1 dozen roses and get another dozen for free. It's a simple way to give beautifully, with colorful blooms that make Mother's Day feel meaningful. For every mom you're celebrating, order with confidence and get double blooms at 1-800-Flowers.com/Spotify. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/Spotify.